we both like here is Barclay Barron, which fits in with the
Yep.
Potter's Cross angle. But give us your feeling on Barclay Barron.
I just think there's still an awful lot more to come from Barclay Barron. He really should have won last time. Let's not beat around the bush. It was not the greatest ride in the world, was it, from Richard Johnson? He was poorly placed coming off the home turn. Yeah, people think Chepstow is a stayers track, and it is to a point in so much as you've got a long straight, but you've still got to be in a good position coming off that final bend. They come rattling off of there, and it's downhill. And he gave this horse, I thought, a little bit too much to do.
Yeah, it was a bit out of pace, though, David. In all seriousness, it's sort of come late. I mean, is the form Tajori was a big outsider, not rated that highly, being beat by that style of horse, but coming up against someone like Cesar Milan today. Do you think that it's going up in class today, though?
Yeah, I've still got no doubt that there's tons more to come, mate, Pete. You know, the Newbury win at 40-1 showed you that they weren't expecting a great deal of him last season. I think the second place here should really have been a win, and for me. The horse is all about stamina. This horse is going to be all about stamina. Yeah. He's a galloper, and he should just have been in a better position off the turn, and he would have won. He fiddled the last that day. He didn't jump the last as well as the winner that day. And that's what sort of gave the winner that bit of impetus, if you like, sort of get to the line. But he was closing on him all the way to the line, and for me, he should have won. I think there's a lot more to come. So he's already proven now around this track, which is a big plus for me. I think the ground today will be right up his street. I think it will suit him more than it will suit one or two of the others in the race.
And I think if I remember rightly, a couple of weeks ago, myself and Catherine were on Potter's Cross, which Sandy wants to talk about, and up to about 3 from home, this horse looked like a surefire win in that race.
I was on Potter's Cross as well. I think he would have won the race if it wasn't for mistakes 3 and 2 out. He made a really bad mistake 2 out. He got it all wrong, and he ended up veering to the left. He still rallied, even though after these mistakes. I think it showed he has quite a lot of courage. And
see, I don't think he's fast enough for this race, to be honest.
Well,
I don't think he's got a turn of foot for a 2.5 miler.
I think the ground will suit him today.
The ground will suit, yeah, but I think he might have got away with it last time, but in a Persian War, I severely doubt it.
I still think he'd be better as a chase at Potter's Cross.
What's the current odds on?
It will be.
Potter's Cross, you can get 10-1 on it. So
Really,
it's an each way price.
A variety or?
With Bet Victor and Ladbrokes.
And what about Barclay?
Barclay Barron is 4-1 with the majority.
I think at them prices, it's a no-brainer to be back in Potter's Cross. I think he would have beaten Barclay. I know Dave touched that he was badly positioned, but I think the mistakes 3 out and 2 out were so costly to Potter's Cross. Yet he still was only beaten ahead.
It's a shame we've only got 8 in this race.
It's 7 runners, so if it was 8, maybe, but for me.
So David, it's fair to say your selection is going to be
Barclay Barron for me.
Okay. Tom, Billy?
I'd ignore it, to be honest. I can't really look past the favourite Cesar Milan with the form of Nichols in this race, so you either have a lump on that or don't do anything about it with 7 in the field.
Billy?
I've been very quiet, so I think it's a very difficult race. I was interested in Catherine's comments in Leonissus, and having taken them on with her first 2 tips, I'm going to go with Leonissus.
Yeah. So we've got 3 of us again. We've got different horses in this race. I like Potter's Cross. I think 10-1 is good value.
Okay, well, I'm one of my selections today is David's selection. Let's go back to the serious work of trying to work out the 4:10 at Chepstow, and you wanted to talk about the Paul Nicholls horse, David Verac.
Yeah, which is I thought last night the price was a little bit on the skinny side. I see that I just had a quick catch up before I came out to sort of do the call, and he seems to have drifted a little bit on the markets, and the money's come for Broadway Buffalo. I think Verac's heading towards the sort of price I thought he might be, because strictly on what he's done, the handicap has not been overkind on him. Certainly on his Newton Abbott run, where he's just disposed easily of a couple of sort of 105, 110 rated horses, and he's given him a whacking mark of 136, which doesn't look that tempting to me, I have to say. I was quite keen on the top one, Pete Araldur. I thought he had a bit of a chance here.
Oh right, okay. I mean, obviously finished 4th behind Battle Group back in May. Do you think the weight there might be a bit much, or?
No, I think he's fine with 1-4-1. He's a weight carrying horse. These are the sort of races that he excels in. He's got no problem carrying the weight at all. And I still think a marker 1-4-1 leaves him with £2 or £3. I think he's got a little bit of leeway in there, to be honest. Again, I think as much as anything, Pete, his ground conditions. He'll appreciate this ground today. He'll like to get his toe in, as he showed at Sandown last year. I think he's gone well fresh in the past. He's got plenty of ticks in boxes today, I think, and at the price, he was around about sort of 7-1 this morning. I thought he was a decent each-way punt in a race where you could, although, it's a good race, but I think there's only sort of 3 or 4 you can actually give chances to be honest.
And that one that you mentioned has done well at Chepstow. I think he won earlier on and beat Bravo, I seem to remember, back in March or April time. Sandy, let's talk about your
You can't
food
remember. You can't,
side of things. Lamb or cod?
Yeah, well, I think it's very
quite
interestingly named, isn't it? I think
Yeah.
it must be the same sort of concept as beef or salmon, you might remember.
Yeah.
It was a very good chaser. Actually, lamb or cod won the race last year off a mark of 124. He's off a mark of 130 today. Tom O'Brien rides him for the very first time. Hobbs actually got 1, 2, 3 in the race last year. And that was lamb or cod won the races I just touched on. Arthurian Legend come second and Tony Starr come third, and they were all about a length within each other, which was quite incredible. He was actually subject to a huge gamble. I think he was about 14, 16 to 1 in the morning and actually returned at 7 to 2. Interesting that he returns here because his next 2 runs he actually disappointed at Haydock. We were a first-time tongue tie, and it was reported after the race that he had breathing problems. He then ran out. Where did he run out? He ran in the Lanzarote hurdle at Kempton, and he struck into himself about 4 out, and he was quickly pulled up, and we didn't see him again since.
Sorry, we've got a heavy breather on the phone. Or it's the
Breathing operation.
When he actually struck into himself, he actually gave himself a really nasty cut, and it required stitches. I just find it really interesting that they're bringing him back for the race that he won last year off only a £6 higher mark. I imagine he'll go chasing at some point this season, but he was 12 to 1 last night, and I took plenty of each way money on that.
Any
views? Caleb Aramis, I think he'll go fresh, and I just twist and Dave's horses generally go fresh. He's only 6-year-old, he's going to be fine in the mud.
I'd be with Broadway Buffalo. Good record of 5-year-olds in this race. Bit of experience, and I think it'll go well today.
Has anything been backed in this race, Luke?
The favourite, Broadway Buffalo, is 5 to 2.
Right.
Touching on Caleb Aramis, you don't get Dave Cross riding too much for Nigel Tristan Davis. Not too much.
Yeah.
He's obviously normally got Sam riding.
He doesn't usually get an awful amount of rides, which is unfortunate though. Yeah. He's a more than adequate jockey. But one that I'd like to touch on is Quadic Lake, one of the outsiders, who is probably the most unlucky horse in training. He always seems to have a really good excuse for a reason he didn't win. But last time he ran as a pipe opener and to get some prize money behind Rock on Ruby and the new one. Obviously he's got no chance in that race last Sunday. But he's got a £10 claimer on today who, well, I've heard is a very useful jockey. And to take £10 off in that kind of ground, that could speak volumes.
I've noticed he's first time hooded as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's been unlucky. I would say more the fact that he's very quirky, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, there's both of us that need £10 off, myself and David. But David, what's your selections, David, for this particular contest?
I just want to say I agree with everything there about Quadic Lake as well. He was my outsider. I thought it was very interesting. Came to fruition earlier last season as well. Harold Eyre each way for me.
Okay.
Quadic Lake each way.
I just want to mention Notice Delator is a really good chaser, and he's on a really good mark here. He could win well for the pipe yard, but
I'm not even going to bother to ask Tom because he's going to read out doubles in a minute. And Sandy?
I'm with the lamb or cod.
Each way, or do you think?
Yeah, each way. I'm all over it. Yeah.
Okay. 4:45, David. That's run through this particular race, and I hope I've got the right one. We were going to talk about 4:45, but and what one particularly that takes your fancy?
Yeah, really keen on Majala here in this 4:45. This is one of those races where you sort of have a look through and you think Majala